Greetings from Mel.
Greetings from Sim.
It is our pleasure to have you with us for another B.O.O.K podcast moment. B.O.K, our book, also known as Building Our Own Knowledge, is a co-created cloud for interrogating, finding, making, and sharing experiences and knowledge on our own terms.
This podcast is brought to you by the labor of love of book working group members Sim Mendes and Melisandre Varin. The music carrying us through is by book working group member and commissioned artist Samir Saunders. Samir brought their sonic waves to its final form by reading All About Love, New Visions by Bell Hooks. We thank our loving ancestors for using our beings as vessels.
We hope you wine or wave with this DIY podcast as much as we do.
Oh, hello. I am Sim, back again for the book podcast, Building Our Own Knowledge. As some of you may know, I am Sim, the book artist liaison, occasional facilitator, and I am here with Mel and also Symoné today. So we're going to do some intros and get into it. So as you all know, I'm Sim. I am an Aries sun, Pisces moon, Sag rising, and we're also going to ask what we care about. So I'm just answering my own questions. I care about today. What do I care about today? I care about the festive season. I care about coming together. I care about warm lights. I care about hot drinks and good company and warm blankets. That's me today. So I'm going to pass on to Mel. Hi, Mel.
Hi. I have a podcast voice, Symoné. B.O.K artist curator. And as it might translate, I'm a little bit out of my body today. Very much in my body and not in my head. So yes, that's me, Mal. I'm Sim's partner, and it's my pleasure to meet Symoné for the first time today. I also live with a wonderful almost 4 years old Aeon. What else? Yeah, I'm chilling.
What do you care about?
What do I care about? I care about gatherings. I care about growth. I care about accountability, and I care about failures.
And Symoné. Hello.
Hello. Hi. My name is Symoné. Pronouns she, her, or they, them. I'm a circus artist, alt-circus artist, live artist, director. Pass on the star sign. Is the next one I care about? Have I missed something? I care about today. Is it cheesy? I just care about like taking care of myself, not pressuring myself, like kindness. Like just taking it easy is kind of my slogan today. I woke up knowing there was a lot to do, and I was just like, just take it easy. Like I'm not gonna, need to be nice to the head, to the mind. So that's what I'm feeling today. That's what I care about.
Beautiful, Symoné. I wanted to ask you a question because it's in my mind. Where are you based? Because I see like a kitchen sort of landscape behind you.
So I've just moved to Kent. I was living in the Midlands for a couple of years, and just where I was, the quality of life was not the best. I'm a nature person, and so I live, I don't know if I can turn my screen. I don't know if you can see much there. Is it like blind?
There are like fields and fields, just as like a description of just like nature and trees.
Wow. So I live by the sea. And it's lovely. And it was quite a spontaneous move. Just found a cute little flat on my own near the sea in Folkestone. So dream.
It makes me so happy for all of us, for
for you primarily, but like just to know that you by the sea is like giving me so much comfort for some reason.
We've been craving the ocean so much this year. I feel like everywhere we've been to has like either been a city with the sea or like just like lots of water. I feel like it's been like calling us for like different reasons. So
yeah, I've never lived by the water until now, and it's changing me in a really nice way. So yeah, something about water, it's so magical.
Nice. And yeah, I think because you have such a interesting way to sort of like express your extract. So like, I guess if people listen to like more episodes, they know that some people give extracts from books or like song lyrics or something like that, and you had a different idea, so it would be so nice to hear you get into yours before we give ours, because ours are both text-based. So yeah, like definitely get into it if you wish.
Absolutely. So one of a few top Black artists that I admire, her name is Kia LaBeija, and she's a Black American New York-based voguer and visual artist. And as I met her in 2017. She came to London at the beginning of when the voguing scene was picking up, and she taught a workshop. We went to dinner afterwards, everyone from the class, and there was something about her that I found really magical. And so I followed her work. And a few years ago, she put up an exhibition in New York that was about her life. Firstly, what I really admire about her is that she's not only a movement artist, but she's also explores her work in other contexts, and that she's a visual artist. So unfortunately, I didn't see the exhibition in person, but I saw a lot about it. I looked into it because I'm such a fan of her work, and just how real and how raw but just how real and authentic she expresses herself through movement. So I was interested to see how that was expressed visually. And it was a solo exhibition that was about her life, her upbringing, being a Black female that was born with AIDS, which is a narrative we don't hear a lot about, and she wanted to give that representation. She wanted to talk about her story for those that have had this maybe similar experience. And so they're all photographs of her depicting how different stages and different moments in her life. So there's a photograph of her in the bathroom, and that's about the morning sickness that she experienced and the medication she had to take as a child. And there's one particular one that stood out for me, and that was called "I Risked My Life for You." And that was about how she heard that phrase so many times in her life, by people that she knew, mainly people that she was in relationships with. And one story that she particularly highlighted was there's a time that she broke up with someone. She was still in love with them, but she felt that she had to leave them. She didn't go into great detail about it. But they said, one of the last few things that they had said to her was, "I risked my life for you." And it's such an interesting phrase to hear multiple times. I really appreciate how real Kia is in her work. I don't feel like she's trying to be someone else. And it makes me feel like relaxed. And yeah, I don't know. There's sometimes I see work, and there's either I feel inspired, or I feel intimidated, or I feel like there's just different emotions I think artists can give off to their audience. And Kia just makes me feel relaxed, and reminds me that I can and should just express myself a bit more, and just reminds me to be a little bit more authentic in my work and makes me feel reflective in a really humbling way. So.
Wow. So nice. I feel like, the first time that Symoné told us, we researched some of the work, and it's like, yeah, I feel like basically everything you're describing, it feels like soft, but also really raw. It definitely makes me feel about, or think about when we talk about disability and chronic illness, and this whole thing of, you can be born with a disability or chronic illness versus like living and then getting it. And like what that experience is, and how we don't hear enough about what it actually is like to grow up with that, and for that to sort of like literally accompany you through your life, and to be made to feel that your actual existence is putting people at risk, like almost feeling like you have to wear like a constant hazmat suit, like around people when you just want to be a human and be like intimate. Yeah, those are the things that came to mind. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts. I think I'm just waving with it, like I'm just going with it. And I had like actually a thought. I was thinking, how interesting in a way that the particular artwork by IKEA that you chose is actually a word-based one.
Oh yeah,
because
it's a word-based art.
Or at least the artwork that we saw on the internet is one of I assume Kia's body with a projection of words that read
that I risked my life for you.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to sit with that with the emotions that come with like getting to be introduced to an artist that is working with such a commitment to authenticity and to like becoming or mutating into who they are. Well, I think it's the best I can do. Like, like usually I have lots to say, but actually, like, when it's just like, this is who they are in a way, like, I don't know if they are really like that, but how you also, Symoné, you introduce them to us is very special, because through a personal encounter with them, and then you researching their work and following their work also at distance. And I could definitely relate to like, being in community or loving the work of someone or someone in a way so much that you follow their exhibition online, and it's like as if you were there. Yeah.
Big me.
Yeah.
Would you like to go next, or should I go next?
Yeah, maybe you can go next.
Okay.
I feel like I
That's fine. So I used an extract from this book yesterday as well for a different podcast, but I'm going to use a different extract. And this is one of my favorite authors, B.O.O.K and Mezi. And they are sort of like a non-human agender being that uses Igbo ontology to describe their existence. So they call themselves an Ogbanji who's also protected by the Allah God. And in this book, it's called Dear Sentidan, a Black spirit memoir. So it's like letters to loved ones, whilst also talking about being sort of like a spirit inhabited Black person. And today, yesterday, I opened it up to like a random page. And then today I did the same thing. And then I came on this page that I dog-eared, and it was an extract that I like held on to basically like this time a year ago, because I was going through like a very, very rough time. And I used this quote, and it just, it felt really empowering. So just clear my throat.
And the passage is over like highlighted and everything.
It's underlined. So it says, "You will always be more powerful than they are, even if it takes you a while to remember it, to unfold into your full self. No human can anoint you or take your anointing away. They will try everything to make you believe that the power lies with them, that you have to remain in their favor, that they are strong enough to shift your destiny, but that's impossible. If you say yes with enough force, your chi will say yes too. It will clear the road for you like the hand of God. You are always who you are, you see. No one else can make you. And when the hungry ones come, don't worry even if you fall into the trap. We are lonely and we have our own appetites. That's mine. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Nothing else to add except for like, yeah, I think this time of year is so, as it's sort of like nearing the end of fall, entering into winter, you know, like the days are dark and cold, and I think we're going inward more, and we're like trying to honor our inward selves, but sometimes it can cause a lot of destruction because we're faced with so many shadow aspects of ourselves. But at the same time, once you like embrace it, and it's like, I want to stretch, and like, you know, I'm gonna stretch beyond these people that are trying to like stifle or whatever it is. Yeah, and then you find yourself like burning like a big live bush. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I immediately thought about creating your own power, knowing your own power, being in control of it. Yeah, it's just the word power was repeating in different phrases when you were reading that, and yeah, something I felt like I needed to be reminded of as well. So I'm glad that you picked that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I think I've been very moved by the concept of the move towards anointment.
To be anointed.
Yeah, because this is actually a new word for me. And I feel like I heard it at our love ceremony for the first time. And then like it's slowly coming back in like iterations of it are coming back. So it's interesting that it was in this passage as well. So anointment and appetite as well. So appetite, I think, is a form that I've approached to from the position of like someone else having appetite for me.
Yeah.
And the danger and like the negotiation of like consent and boundaries that it comes with. But I feel like today it came with like when you were reading it and there was this move of appetite. I thought of myself, my own appetite. And then it comes with also impulse towards pleasure, pleasures, I would say. Yeah, that's what I take. Thank you. Okay, so I have my like I like the format of that book because it looks like a Bible, like a sacred book.
Yeah.
It's heavy as well. So it's called Farming While Black. Soul Fire Farm's Practical Guide to Liberation on the Land. And it's by Leah Penniman. Apologies for the pronunciation. So this is a book that was part also of B.O.K library. So it's been with us like since summer 2020. And I don't know if it was in 2020 or 2021, I put a photo, like a Polaroid in it it's just like a Polaroid. I'm not like, yeah, just take Polaroid. So I put a Polaroid on a specific page and the sort of chapter it's in honoring the spirits of the land. So I feel that I would like to share it today as I revisit for the first time the impulse to like mark the page. I'm not sure why I marked it. I never returned to it. So yeah, so there is a prayer for, oh my gosh, am I going to be in position to read today? Prayer for Azaka or prayer for Orisha Oko. I think I'm gonna do the prayer for Orisha Oko. Orisha Oko, you are the one who cultivates the land so it yields hearty harvest. Cultivate within us a desire to live our purpose and achieve our destinies. Yeah. Orisha Oko, you are the one that brings fertility to the earth so that it may give sustenance to all the living. Allow our spirits, minds, and bodies to become fertile with the creativity needed to manifest our heart's desires. Orisha Oko, you are the one that heals ailments that plague so many with misery and disease. Allow us to become healers of our families, our communities, and ourselves, and help spread light and love throughout the world. So this is from Orisha Oko, Orisha of fertility, progress and evolution.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Do you feel like you understood why you like put a marker in the page?
Yeah, because this is my life purpose. Like not like half joking, like there are a lot in this prayer that resonates with like every time I have to, or every time I have impulse to redirect, this is my line, if it makes sense. This is where I feel, and this is where I feel good or well. It's where I can expand. So yeah, as I was reading it, I feel like both words were a little bit of, not that, yeah, they were a little bit of medicine for myself. Exactly the ones that I needed right now.
Yeah. No, I think the same. Oh, do you want to say something, Symoné?
Sure. Yeah, I really like that words, you know, feeding you like medicine. I felt that as you were reading it, and I started visualizing how our emotions as humans connects with the earth. And I was just thinking about like farming and love and yeah, just different elements and different activities within the earth and our own emotions in that relationship. And how I think, yes, particularly in like, you know, our culture and like Western world, we don't really think like this. And I think in some ways that, yeah, has like this disconnect with nature. But I just felt reminded about that, the importance of, you know, having that connection, at least for me. I know that's, I don't want to sound, yeah, making everything sound general and one way, but that's just how I felt.
No, I definitely hear that. I feel like what came to mind for me was sometimes feeling like when it comes to things like land justice and all of those ideas of how we're treating the land, sometimes I feel so like far removed from it and like disconnected, because I'm like, oh, I don't know, like like me living in like a very city type landscape and like all of this, like I don't understand. But then something as simple as like a prayer or just like remembering, like you said, like our connection with the earth, how we connect to it, how we relate to it, how we honor it and respect it, even if it's through like a simple thing of like gratitude, and starting there and not like overwhelming yourself with all the big things that you don't really know how to like tackle, you know. But yeah, definitely, I've definitely felt that like medicine like aspect to the world. Sure.
Yeah, I think there is a lot about, well, from my perspective, there is a lot about this movement of returning to and tending to at the same, that are happening at the same time. And also, when I say returning to is, I think we were talking about inner selves and not nourishing and nurturing our inner selves previously. Our inner selves are, for me, the most, like they are a representation of God, and they are a representation of nature, not God in like religious term, but like godness,
like divinity.
And so to me, I don't necessarily see a separation between nature and myself as like someone contained or something contained in a body, flesh. form. And so, you know, like sometimes returning to or tending to ourselves or to nature is actually like the same, like it's the same. And having, I think, this prayer that is inscribed in spiritualities to like be a reminder of that is a beautiful gesture, I think, to remind ourselves that maybe it is a fiction. This feeling of alienation is a brutal fiction that has been inflicted upon us. But we, like, when we return to our inner selves, then we will, we know, because we feel when we know that this is a fiction, this is not our reality, this is not the realities we're operating within. Anyway, so returning to and tending to, yeah, I think it goes back to your point on like feeling, Symoné, like feeling like you feel like you, it's a day for care, where you care about care and about like moving maybe at a slower pace.
Definitely feel that.
I love all these like full circle moments, which, yeah, I guess, well, I don't know if it actually leads into the question, but I'm gonna ask it anywho's. The first question for you, Symoné, of who was waiting for you to be born?
Yeah, I had my mother and my father there with me. I was born in a hospital in Arlington, Virginia, and yeah, both of my parents were there. And yeah, I don't really have a huge story about it. My mother's told me once about my birth, and I just feel really grateful that I had that. I have them, because my parents, I have good parents. I'm really grateful for that, and that they've been there with me from the beginning until now. So
Nice.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, you know, like I think it's, I don't know, I've been listening to lots of parenting for liberation podcasts lately, and you know, like you as a full-grown adult making this testament that you have good parents is like so rare, and I feel like just like honoring and celebrating your parents.
Yeah,
For you to
it's a hard job.
yeah, like, oh my god, yeah, wild. Oh, that's so nice. And are your parents still based in Virginia?
Yeah, they are. I grew up around Europe, but kind of did a full circle where I was born there. We traveled growing up, and then they were like, okay, we're done traveling, and they just wanted to stay there. So yeah, and I genuinely mean it though, because I was speaking to a friend last night about their upbringing and how they got beat up and had like beat up by kids in their school and all these crazy stories. And it just reminded me how lucky just to have like good parents that were making sure I was okay, but not, too invasive. I really felt like they had that balance as a kid growing up, where they took care of me and looked out for me, even when I was at school, but they weren't, so controlling. So yeah, I feel fortunate, and there's definitely times I'm like, I look back at the past and I'm, how families are basically, but I think all in all, I'm pretty blessed. Like not everyone has that. So I feel like there's no reason for me to complain about the little things. So.
Oh, nice.
I also wanted to say that thank you for saying that also your mother, I think you said, told you about how you were born, because I actually never thought about that. So I wasn't,
how you were born.
So I wasn't told how I was born, and as a continuation, then I didn't tell Eol how they were born. So now this week I'm gonna tell them how they were born.
Did you know?
I mean, it's so important. It's rich. It's like transmission about how we
came into
Yeah.
like being. Yeah, I don't know. I just know that it was like a hospital and but yeah, very very interesting. But before I like spiral into like memory hole, I'll ask the second question. So who is holding you tight for you to grow?
This one I feel like is what is, I don't know the word for it, but multi-dimensional. I feel like my best friend / my partner is just there for me, and you know, like we met when I was in my early 20s, and I was just such a different person back then. I was very much, as they would describe it, a little bit of a wet blanket. Like I would give my power away a lot to people, let people walk over me. And they really helped me, like, kind of helped me through that. And similarly, my mother, I think my mother also saw this in me growing up. So both my partner and my mother saw this trait in me, being this, kind of a bit of a walkover, like a bit too nice. And I love this. When I was in high school, my mother said to me, if any students, you know, in your class, or if any teachers say anything to you or do something disrespectful to you, then if it feels appropriate, I'm kind of rewording what she said, but if it feels appropriate, you should curse them out. And I just thought that was such a, like, you know, it's such a big thing for your mother to say, curse out your teacher or, you know, one of your students. But I think it's because she saw that there were people in my life that were just walking over me. And she was like, no, like, you're not gonna, don't take advantage of my kid. And at the time, I thought she was being too aggressive. But looking back, absolutely valid, considering, you know how kids are, and even how teachers can be. I love that she said that to me, and it stuck with me. And I feel like those words and how she helped me in my teen years, kind of, you know, protect my power, was something that my partner also took care of, like saw in me and helped kind of manifest a bit more. And I know I said originally this was multi-dimensional, and I think it's because I feel like there are people who have passed away that are there for me on different levels. For example, my dog that I grew up with, although we never spoke, they were my best friend, and I feel like they definitely look out for me, and they appear in my dreams. And it's one of those things I don't know how to put into words, but they definitely are there for me, and I feel like they look out for me. And yeah, I think animals can look out for us. We might not understand it, as we think that we're just there to feed them. I think they're doing for us that we can't understand. So yeah, a few different people and beings I think are there for me.
Wow. I don't know why I got emotional thinking about a dog. I feel like, you know, those white people that put animal lives before human lives. Not that I'm going that far, but like, yeah, to know and acknowledge that like animals are also our guardians, and also even when we're talking about the land and our connection to nature, the same as with animals as well, like this cyclical nature with it, and knowing that they can offer something to us, and like removing that level of ego of like, actually, you know, there is something that they can offer for us. And yeah, it made me think of my cat growing up, Xena the warrior princess.
Oh.
Anyway, let me not.
Oh, babe. Yeah, I don't think that I mean, like, again, not that, like, I'm a bit floating today, but again, I think it's a fiction to think that there is a hierarchy between human beings and animals. So I don't think that animals are necessarily like on Earth to guard.
Well,
That's
not
really
like that's not their sole purpose to guard us. They have their own thing, but it's also
they are complex beings.
But I think that's the same with humans. When we think about our ancestors that are there to look out for us, we also know that our ancestors, what their sole purpose was not to then serve us as soon as they die, you know. The complexity and a nuance to it. But I definitely believe putting like pictures of pets on the altar and like, I don't know, maybe putting like a little doggy treat. Oh, I need to stop. Anyways, you have any other comments?
I feel like I'm at a therapy session / advice and tips. I'm definitely going to think more of my dog, Tifel, that also passed away and I grew up with. And in my family, like where we were living, we were the only Black family with a dog. So we were known as the Black family with a dog. So, I feel like my father in particular, he really wanted to like draw a line between like, this is the dog space, this is the dog is like below us, like really, you know. And we live with it, like we feed it, but like not too much. Like there was lots of like barriers, if like there was a threat to
like the dog becoming too powerful.
Not like, maybe you know, like in the Planet of the
Apes.
Anyway, so maybe the dog taking too much control, or the dog developing loving relationships with us and vice versa. That would be like too unbearable. So I think I'm definitely as a tip, I'm definitely going to honor Tifel. Like even naming Tifel, like I haven't been naming them in like, I don't know, like 5 to 10 years, like out loud.
What was your dog's name, Symoné?
Rock.
Oh, Rock. So cute. But like aside from the animal aspect, I still think it's like such a beautiful thing to have people around you that like, because you know how sometimes you can be around people that are so extractive and they see how much you give and it's like, oh, I see that, so I'm just gonna keep taking and taking. But having these two people around you to be like, nah, bitch, you know what I mean? Like I see that in you, and it is also like a powerful thing when it's like almost like alchemized and used in a really powerful way, but not using that to extract from you, but knowing that it's something that you can honor and also like learn from to like move forward. So I
was thinking of this image of beings seeing you as a powerful being and latching on you, and your partner and your mother being like supporting you to keep on shining, because then like when people latch on you in such a way, they suck out.
It's like the leech that takes the blood.
Definitely. I definitely feel like they are this. It's funny what you can't see in yourself, and then looking back, I'm just like, wow, I was just blinded by this part of myself or what I was doing. I was really just giving away, letting people walk over me and being taken advantage of. And they're like, no, stop. Like, you need to, And I love that. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes we learn the hard way as also a recovering wet mop. I feel that, and sometimes you really have to learn in the most like excruciating ways of like, wow, I'm empty now, and I'm just like flip-flopping off the floor, and it's like, who's gonna pick me up? Well, like, bitch, you gotta do it yourself. Like, this is the lesson you gotta learn. Do you know what I mean? So definitely empathize.
I don't know about the extremism.
It's a metaphor.
I think that I really think it's a beautiful transition to the last question, but is in unloaded ways. That is, how do we create loving environments in the arts too?
It's something I think about quite a lot, or the word care. And I love that this question used the word loving environments. That felt like, yeah, a necessary phrase as well. And I feel like, and I didn't want to overthink this before you gave this to me, but I feel like primarily, at least in my opinion, communication and understanding what good communication is, because I feel like, we say, we say words like care, we say like good communication, but like really investigating and understanding what that means. Because words mean different things to everyone. Even, emotional words mean different things. So I think it's important that we are on the same level. For example, with the word care, for me in the arts, I think about being an active listener, being responsive, being responsible, being professional, and being human. Like things need to get done, but being burnt out exists. We need to take care of our mental health. It's really difficult as a freelancer to have, different projects on the go, and to be able to immerse completely in one is just impossible. So we just need to be mindful of each other's times, and that we're people having lives outside work as well. And I feel like just having a conversation with someone, like I like to have, when I work with someone on a project, I like to have this how you work conversation, and having questions like, communication methods. Some people prefer, this or that, this time or that time. And those little details really mean a lot to respecting someone's boundaries. Talking about communication and your style of working and things that you should know about someone. For example, if someone were to ask me that, things that you should know about me when working with me, I might say, I might mention a couple of my access requirements. I might mention how I am in the rehearsal room and things that I might need, like, don't overwhelm me with loads of papers and things to read before. I like to do all in the room, like things like this, just so that we understand how we like to work, how we like to communicate. And I guess for me, having this kind of initial conversation with someone is loving, or at least like I'm being respectful to them. And that's how I would, describe one element of love is respect. So yeah, I feel like I'm also constantly investigating myself, what care and good communication and care and professionalism as two words together mean, because yeah, there are things I'm still learning. And every project is so different with pace and what they're about, that I feel like I'm constantly coming out of it with loads of reflections about how I work and trying to grow more, because I still feel like in the middle in terms of my career. So there's enough experience. I understand who I am, but I'm constantly growing. And yeah, I mean, even as someone who has been in the industry for 20 years, I think we should always be investigating and understanding and learning, because it's the way that we work in the industry. It's very different from other styles of businesses and industries, where there's this business and professional element, but it's art, and it's sometimes, it's human, it's like, it's loving, it can be really fun, but just being careful about how we manage that, especially when it's a project that is super playful, like, just being mindful about boundaries and professionalism within that, so that we get the work done, but we're still keeping it alive and keeping the work alive and taking care of each other. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of gone in different directions with that, but that's kind of my response. And I guess as a gist, it's just something I feel like we should just keep investigating with ourselves and with each other to talk about, so that we can be in good communication on the same page when we work with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what is there to add to that? I feel like definitely, I think what stood out to me was definitely that loving is gonna look different depending on who it is that you are and who it is that you're working with. And sometimes to be loving is just to say, like, I'm respecting you, I'm respecting your time, I'm respecting like how you work, and also honoring the boundaries within our work frame, like our framework, work framework. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of that, also allowing others to love you well by, you know, sharing, for example, some of your access needs, and also like being a bit reflective on it every time, which is a bit. I just thought that the first time I made an access rider, it would have been like for the whole life, and everybody will have to like obey by the rules, and but it's just never like that. But I think it's you know, communicating, sharing your access needs with someone is an act of love, is an attempt to grow the fertile ground for a loving relationship. I think that maybe I loved when you said that love is respect, because so often we forget about it. But I will say that for me, maybe I'm at a stage where I might distantiate myself from this idea that there could be like a universal form of love, or universal potentiality for love, because me being in a mindset that okay, you know, like I respect you and this is my way of showing love, how my brain works is that if you know, 1, 2, 3 times the person is not respecting, or like not respecting me, then I'm gonna feel betrayed, while for them they were not necessarily like knowing that we were working towards a loving relationship. I wish that everybody would like just like think that you know, like ultimately we could be in a loving relationship, so let's put like all the pieces together so it can happen. But I guess that sometimes, depending on periods of life and like vibes and personal higher call, it's just not how it goes. So I feel a bit like, oof, I want to protect myself a little bit. But thank you so much. Everything that you said was like, yeah.
No, definitely. I guess, like, well, I think I had to add on to that, but now it's slipped my mind. But definitely, I think working towards loving relationships, and especially within the arts, I think flipping it from like, you're here for me to extract from you, like whether it's your talent, your labor, your time, your energy, to like, this is a mutual exchange. And just because this is an institution with power, it doesn't mean that there should be a lack of respect for the artist, you know? So like this building of, or whoever you're working with, but just in that example of working with like institutions or big companies, or, you know, it's still possible to build loving relationships, I think, when there's this intention to, and when I think it really does come back down to the respect of it. I feel like it really is such a big thing, because if you have respect for that person, that artist, then of course that energy and intention to build those relationships is going to be there. Even if it's on a temporary basis, it's still ever present. So yeah, I think lots to muse on.
Yeah, on the back of what you were saying also, Symoné, I think I was thinking of mycelium or mycelium, I don't know, mycelium, and how, because you made a big emphasis on communication. And I feel like people talk about care, but like they don't necessarily like put communication in the mix, because communication was like a former buzzword or something that they think that they over and done with. While like it's so central to make care happen, or like to make interactions between beings happen. So I was thinking of like how this mycelium web network, transmit information. And I think that for me, at the moment, I'm thinking that this could be possible when we really, and you often when you were talking, was this word came once or twice, and there was this sense of like a humbling process or humility. So I think there is a necessary process of stripping off some of the ego, not all of it, but like some of the ego for communication in this mycelium web, to just like move through. I don't know, like like just flow through. Yeah, thank you.
Just amazing. Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful. Do you have something that you would like to say? Like a last thought or anything, because sometimes we tend to get
yeah, we cut off the recording like anyway, this is
I feel like this was a really lovely start to my day, and I just feel that there are a lot of things that I've kind of put in the back of my mind or haven't reminded myself about, and I just feel like I'm coming out of this chat with you two feeling like reminded about who I am. And I feel really empowered. I feel really good. Hearing things that I needed to hear. It feels very, like not the word isn't fate, but it is fate. Like it's meant to, this conversation is very meant to happen at this time. I needed it.
Underwater every day, yeah. Under wave, dark waters every day. They swallow me and I suffocate. Born just to suffocate. The doctor ain't believe my mom when she said to get me out. 2 weeks passed from the due date. I asphyxiated in the womb. She could tell they ain't listen. It was almost too late. I was underway, gasping, grasping. A plum-skinned banshee dried up in the sun. Yo, they gaslit my mum, cut her open when she cried. So lucky that we both still made it out alive, but the trauma made us suffocate, born just to suffocate.
What if you called I didn't choose to exist, but I don't know. For my first breath, I felt like I owned something.
Air pressure fell, ripped a river from a dry well. I sheltered myself in my shell, am I well? Body was burned, vision was blurred. Shit is absurd, digging the blade right where it hurts. Oh, you got some nerve.
Oh, what brittle flesh to be born in, sick to the hearse to be looked at. All this talking and talking, thundering voices, man chat, empty gas, I ignore it.
Vision was blurred, but we can still burn. Live in the dirt, deliver the curse. Oh, you got some nerve.
Body was burned to commemorate sin of a scorpion tongue with a venomous sting, licking the wounds of a feculent king, made eminent thing. I'm emanating the immaculate, passionate, potent praxis of a sacrament. Doomsday blasphemous is blasphemous, so we live fast because we're ravenous. No wings to see perspective, ain't no resting for the wretched. If something wicked comes to check this, then know my heat ain't to be messed with. Blow!